for the Smite World Championship Finals. Are you ready, everyone? Alrighty. Can you hear me out in the audience? Yeah, there we go! Are you ready for the Smite World Championship Finals? Wow, that's a lot of enthusiasm. I love it. Welcome to everyone here in the audience, watching at home, and of course from our Coke theaters throughout the nation. It is time. We have been watching these teams fight for this opportunity for the stage. We've got eUnited from NA. Yeah. And of course, the Lanimals team rival. I hope you're ready for it, because I sure am. The SWC starts right now.
First to enter the stage, North America's #1 seed, eUnited. Never scared to fight the whole team by himself, it's Benji! Next up, the 200 IQ jungler and backbone of eUnited, it's Screammmmm! Arguably the most dangerous Morrigan player to date, it's Venenu! The curse maker, the curse breaker, you know he had to do it to him! It's PolarBearMike! And finally, the Ukrainian hunter who needs no introduction, it's PandaCat! Let's try again. Next on stage, we have EU's #1 seed, its rival. Introducing, first, the meta maker, the meta breaker, the meta dictator, it's Deathwalker! Next up, there's nothing vanilla about this jungler. It's iceicebaby! Looking to win more world championships than he has hairs on his head. It's Wlfy! From Paradigm Sub to World's Finals, it's the one and only Callus! And last but not least, the great Scott himself fighting for his freedom, it's Bolt!
Quite the introduction. Now it's time for some words from our captains. Starting off with Callus over here for Team Rival. Quite a performance in your previous semifinal. General thoughts going into this one?
Well, I hope it's gonna be a good game, and I can't BM him. I just can't BM him, so I won't do it.
You know, I think there's been a little mention of some kind of curse, maybe? What are your thoughts on that?
It's not broken yet. That's all I gotta say.
So close to it. With everything that you've been through to get here, people call you the Lanimals. Is that kind of helping you with the vibe, trying to go for that victory?
Not really. We just play like we do, but of course not like we do online, because that's not what we want.
Who do you think's gonna take the set?
Us 3-1 or 3-0. One if I'm trolling.
Last things I have for this one. Before we hop into it, what words do you have for your opponents?
Well, he's gonna win definitely. Definitely. We can't win.
What a nice guy. And PBM,
Wait, what am I saying?
what words do you have for your opponent?
Oh, just best of luck. Hope we have some good games.
Good feels all around. Well, like you said, best of luck to both of you, and let the best team win.
One if I'm trolling from Professor BM. You can hear the audience. I wonder if there's a favorite.
I would have to assume that there might be just a little bit of bias.
A little bit of bias here for the North American crowd, cheering on PBM and eUnited. And looking at these two teams specifically, North America, #1 seed eUnited, Europe, #1 seed as well, Rival. This is going to be a clash of the Titans.
It's the first time we're seeing this #1 versus #1 in Smite history. And guys, I just got to thank you all for joining us here for the Smite World Championships presented by Coke Esports. It is going to be insane today. The audience is, as you can tell, very vivacious right now, and I'm sure the players are as well. But let's get into the comparisons, guys. For the entire tournament that we've been seeing, it's been the matchups for the solo laners. And what more intense solo laners do we have than Benji and Deathwalker? Taco, walk me through them.
Everything has been dictated by the pressure established in the solo and jungle sides of the map. So as soon as you give up pressure there, for even an instant, you already can assume that your opponent is picking up their positioning, ready to invade your buffs. All this comes down to, at the end of the day, is Benji gonna overtake Deathwalker, or is Deathwalker gonna bring out something new that Benji isn't prepared for?
See, the thing is, Benji had a very easy time yesterday against Xaylia, but that's not due to Xaylia's fault. The composition from Obey Alliance did not favor him in the slightest. Getting to Kakolin 2 games in a row against an inferior Guardian is not the way you want to dictate the pacing of the early game. Rivals studying their opposition here today. I don't expect them to get that same matchup here.
These two teams have actually never faced each other in Season 4 between the lands, correct?
There's been multiple instances of these teams wanting to battle against each other, particularly after everything that people were able to witness in Valencia from Rival. I think that's what initially sparked eUnited really leaning towards wanting to eventually go off against these guys.
Well, run me through their history a little bit, because Rival wasn't known as Rival once before.
Not at all. Known as Cyclone GG back in Season 3. But more importantly, before even qualifying to not even qualifying to Super Regionals last year, they kept their same exact roster intact. They substituted out their coach, and now look where they are here.
The lip lick, too.
Oh, it's luscious.
I can tell he's feeling himself a little bit.
That's the confidence that you want out of your mid laner. Venenu having a great tournament, playing Morgan very confidently.
All right, everyone, we are ready for picks and bans of game number 1. Make some noise for Rival versus eUnited. Oh. I don't even know what to say. I just want to listen to the crowd. And there we got the first ban coming out. No one wants to face against Robin.
Absolutely, that is just an absolute nightmare in that jungle role. Scream is known to have a phenomenal warrior in the jungle. Surprisingly though, in game number 1 against Obey Alliance, he opted for the Bastet, so that's still a potential for eUnited.
And Finver as well, and it was so interesting seeing the differences of his Finver and Adapting's Finver, which didn't really work out in game 5.
It all depends, again, on your team compositions and what you're really looking to draft around. eUnited yesterday, we saw a lot of pressure being established in their side lanes and then looking to collapse inward for the team fights. All eUnited are probably going to look for in this fight is trying to match Rival's team fighting composition. That's kind of what you have to do if you want to find the upper hand.
Look at these focus bans right now. You just mentioned it earlier, Anatoly. They don't want the Morgan going to eUnited.
I definitely agree, and more importantly, they got Ryzen for Wlfy. He played it in game number 5 against NRG, which is why Adapting couldn't really do much on that Fenrir. So Scream needs to pick a god that's going to be able to get in and out of the action very easily.
More than likely, eUnited's going to look for that hyper pressure. That way they can ensure that they have a way to successfully dive this Ryzen. That's going to be the main thing, is pinpointing exactly where he is on the map and being able to just go after him non-stop.
The crowd is going wild for Benji's pick right there, Kakulin.
We got to see Benji on Kakulin yesterday, and it was such a force to be reckoned with. They went 3-0 against Obey. He decimated Xaylia.
He was just an absolute monster, going 4-1-5 in game 1, 2-1-7, putting himself in a 3-on-1, or in a 1-on-3, 1-on-4. He's just not afraid of anyone.
But Osiris is still on the table, as well as Erlang Shen. Both of those guys, Deathwalker, we know him to be very proficient on. It's actually going to be the Odin. Rival loved this pick, but it might not necessarily be for the solo lane. iCeicebaby, the control that he can provide in the team fights for Rival is insane.
That's very true. NRG, they had to deal with his Odin in game number 1 and then did not allow him to pick that god throughout the remainder of that set.
We got Sylvanas for Callus, and on eUnited's side, are they going to go with Kuzenbo, or is this a troll?
This is definitely a troll. There's no way, no how. Bastet might be legit here, though. We were talking about what god they need to get in and out of the action against the Ryzen. Bastet pounces in, Bastet pounces out.
So what are the bans that you want to see are coming out of Team Rival?
Considering that eUnited have the freedom to eliminate some of the hunter picks, I would imagine Hachiman and Hu Yi to be a couple of the choices they might ban away from Rival, especially since Rival already has so much AoE as far as their frontline engagement off of the Odin Cage and the Sylvanas ultimate.
We also got to see an Onher coming out of Vote on the outside of Rival, so that might be a possible pick, but I doubt we're going to see it banned out.
I don't think that's going to be a priority ban like you mentioned here. It's a very safe pick, I think, especially paired up with the Sylvanas. There could be a lot of aggression in that long lane Gold Fury side, and Rival still with a lot of flexibility. They did first pick the or not first pick, but they had Onher in that first game of the set, so it wouldn't surprise me if they run it back here.
Wise selection as well, I think, to eliminate that Osiris. We just talked about how that was still open and available. And for Benji yesterday, he had so much success since he was going against those low pressure Guardian picks. You don't want to throw low pressure against Benji. He will take full advantage of you in that solo lane. And Deathwalker, we already know he loves to scrap.
That's true, but he also is pretty good with Amaterasu, which is still open up in the air, and they're going to have to focus out other bans, so you can't fully ban out Deathwalker.
Absolutely not. He has a big god pool, whether it's going to be Guardians or Warriors alike. With this Erlong Shen ban from eUnited, there's not that much left on the table for Rival in terms of the Warrior decisions. Could be a Hercules, could even be Bologna.
A Giannis and RTO finishing out the bans on Team Rival's side right there, and now we are moving on to picks.
Without their Guardian being secured, eUnited could potentially take the Ganesh here for PBM, or he could even potentially look for a Geb selection, just provide his team a little bit more feel, but Geb does run the risk of getting trapped inside of that Odin ring, and Ganesh actually has a dash that goes straight through it.
Now, I like the Ganesh idea because of how aggressive the composition from eUnited already is. Bastet, Uller, Kakulin, so much front-loaded damage. You add Ganesh for the Spirit Ball to just add even more on top of it. eUnited is going to be looking to start some fireworks early on.
Taking a while for these picks here, a lot of deliberation going on. And a Discordia is hovered over for eUnited and locked in.
It's not something known that Venenu really likes to do. He played Morrigan twice and then a Ra in the second game against Obey Alliance. But with this Discordia pick, there's a lot of control also from a distance.
I absolutely love this pick for eUnited because they're kind of anticipating Rival to try and take this to the mid and late game. For Discordia, if you can manage to survive to that state, then you're going to be able to have so much control around your disengage, and even just the initiation factor, that madness and the strife for burst damage, great for shredding out gods like Odin that have to get in there.
So we saw Vote play on her before, but why would he not pick Hachi or Huyi here?
I think that he just wants to fight fire with fire. Honor is one of these aggressive gods with his passive, a very short ultimate cooldown. He's going to be relatively safe with that cooldown because he doesn't necessarily always have to burn the beads.
And the Amaterasu coming out on the side of Rival. One last pick for eUnited, and then we're going to be going into game number 1 of the Grand Finals for Smite World Championships 2018.
I'm a little surprised to see Amaterasu instead of the Bologna here, because now Deathwalker's putting himself in a position where he could get bullied early on, and whenever you give a lead to Benji, we saw what he can do with it.
But with Odin and Raijin being a couple of the gods who are paired alongside of him, he should be okay in that solo lane, simply because Ice with that Odin clear through levels 1 through 5, I think that Deathwalker will be able to sustain himself well enough.
Rival needs to babysit that solo lane up until Deathwalker hits level 7. Support, last pick locked in. It's the aggressive Ganesh.
All right, guys, looking at these two team compositions, who are you favoring in this matchup?
The first one's a complete 50-50 toss-up. It all really just depends on how these team fights initially start breaking out.
If eUnited can get off to a great early start, they have it. If they don't, if it's just stale and neutral until the 10-15 minute mark, Rival all the way.
The gods are locked in, the players are ready, and I believe our casters are ready as well. Everyone, it's time for game number 1 of Rival versus eUnited.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the finals. I'm Tom Battinger. Right next to me is Ryan Egro-Bailey, and we have a fantastic, what I think is going to be at least a 4-game set.
I tweeted about it earlier. I really feel like this has potential to be an all-time great set in Smite World Championship history, even excluding the World Championship sets. These are two teams that I think can be very evenly matched. And for my money, the two best teams who showed up here at this World Championship. You don't always get the two teams that look the best. This is one of those situations where I think we have, and it's going to be awesome.
These are both the leaders. These are both teams that have created the individual region metas. These are both of the teams that find themselves at the top of their respectable regions. Make some noise. eUnited versus Team Rival, game number 1.
Going into the drafts, I love what eUnited did with this draft right away.
Prioritizing Scream's Bastet that played so well yesterday up against Obey, and Benji gets his signature Kakulin. I know a couple of the players were talking before the set is if Rival was going to actually give Benji that Kakulin. It's clearly Rival not too worried about it. And honestly, I don't think I blame them, at least for game 1. this is a sort of an opportunity for Rival to test the waters, say maybe we can deal with this, and then make some adjustments moving forward.
Exactly. How hot is it? Get that measuring stick, because at the end of the day, you know what? I don't think Cullen is really overpowered. I think Benji is overpowered on this character. But like we said, these teams have never played against each other, and Team Rival have a tendency to make better work out of some of the harder things around. So they're trying to see how good will it be.
iceicebaby and Deathwalker starting at their own speed buff, understanding that they are going to lose pressure on that solo lane side, especially with how much pressure eUnited is going to have in the mid lane. This is kind of the meta right now, where if you can get pressure with your Hunter and Mage together, you put them in the mid lane, and that gives you flexibility on where you want to invade or defend against invades. In this case, eUnited's threat of starting their Hunter in mid is enough to make Rival give up some lane experience. So eUnited already off to a good start on the right side of the map. They are controlling the neutral fire elementals.
Does that create a wasted farm scenario, though, where PolarBearMike and Collis are the ones getting the solo farm?
Sometimes, yes, it can, but with how early PandaCat has rotated over here, that means that this dual lane farm isn't going to waste, only to PolarBearMike.
What's also interesting, and shout outs to eUnited for successfully rocking out that first wave or two, not only does PolarBearMike have the level lead on Collis, but he also had his Hunter rotate, so it's kind of the best of both worlds.
I love what iceicebaby's doing right now. He knows that they're not going to get pressure in that solo lane again, so he just goes and invades the back harpies. And a lot of players probably saying, well, why doesn't eUnited just go contest that? It was the positioning of Vote and Wlfy that made sure that Venenu couldn't be comfortable. And look, Ice just going right around the back to pick up this other set of back harpies. Now he does need to be careful because the dual lane from eUnited is on the way into this jungle.
But it's all about risk versus reward, and you look at somebody at the enemy back harpies and you go, that's kind of crazy. Right side was a little safe, left side not so much. In fact, he's gonna get greeted by PBM, jump over his PandaCat, and the actual cat, iceicebaby by a hair, but it's all about Scream, and that's how you start a finals.
eUnited's ability to adjust has been paramount to their success so far this weekend, and here we see it again. They recognize that iceicebaby took the right backs, but didn't see him coming out, so maybe he just walked across. That's just pure game sense by eUnited that secures that first blood.
And Bastet, the Bastet player Scream, knew it from pretty much the beginning. Ice getting harassed here by Benji, but no kill just yet. As soon as Bastet walked out of that solo lane up towards the back harpies and saw that, Ryan, you saw him on the minimap continue down that path, absolutely understanding the target.
And this has been eUnited's calling card so far, this HRX, is just solo lane pressure. Benji proxying a wave at 2.5 minutes, trying to put some pressure on the enemy back harpies. And eUnited so far 2 for 2 on fire elementals. That objective control is critical to eUnited's plan to get Benji ahead. If Rival, whether it's this game or in any set, can start to really put pressure and consistently secure fire elementals, it's going to go a long way to shutting down what eUnited wants to do.
iceicebaby took the back harpies one more time. Scream's going to show up and go, oh well. Ice, what's he doing over there?
He's looking to go around at the exact same thing he did last time, but Scream just didn't. I mean, who sits back behind that wall? Who does that?
Well, the reason that he sits there, you got to look both ways before you cross the street. The minion wave coming out of the base, if Ice walks too quickly into that, he's on the map.
Exactly, and the Rival is getting back camps consistently. Back camps becoming much more valuable in Season 4. They're a more consistent source of farm because of how quickly they're up and how much they're worth. Ice taking eUnited's back camps not only gets him some extra farm and steals it away from eUnited, but allows Rival to farm up their own back camps consistently with other players. Most junglers want you to wait so that they're at least getting some guaranteed experience and gold off of those XP camps. The way that iceicebaby's playing this is not only denying eUnited, but allowing Vote, Wlfy, Deathwalker, those guys to just consistently pick up back camps off rotation and not worry about having to split it.
I mean, you literally have 2 more camps in the enemy team.
Not a bad deal.
Yeah, I'll absolutely take that one. eUnited here, you brought up the solo side pressure and what they've been doing. When you talk to Europe and America, 2 of the biggest differences in the meta is how important that solo side pressure is. You see Deathwalker going the Amaterasu, a much more passive selection. North America thinks solo side pressure is really the aim of the game, honestly, because of Benji.
Look at this, Ice still just on those back harpies, now waiting for that wave to pass over so the minions
don't grab him and put him on the mini-map, and just gonna do the same thing. Clearly no fear out of iceicebaby, even after getting picked off for first blood. And eUnited is actually kind of making an adjustment. You were just talking about where NA really seems to favor the solo lane and the mid lane over the duo lane, but eUnited kind of a European style to put PolarBearMike over on that left side of the map so far through 5 minutes early on. Vote kind of just taking that 1v1. It's leaving Venenu alone. Venenu was kind of the tertiary win condition for this team for a lot of this fall split. Let PandaCat and Benji be your true carries. But with how well Venenu has played, eUnited, I think, is kind of making sure that he can get towards the late game on this Discordia with where she excels in the later stages a little bit faster and putting some trust in their newest member.
That's really what I was going to bring up, was the Discordia selection and how she absolutely wants to reach and race to that late game. Venenu is on the back end of his, I mean, he's been disjointed different seasons, sort of still a rookie in my eyes, though not technically. His experience at these levels is not quite there yet, but eUnited, who do have some experience, Benji, the only player that's seen the world stage, have the trust. And I think that's one of the most important things here.
Rival now setting up to try and contest these fire elementals for really the first time this game, but look at where iceicebaby's going. Thought about heading back, but sees Scream and Benji on that ward. Great adjustment by eUnited, understanding that they've lost every back camp so far this game, that really cannot afford to continue. So Scream just does a good job of making sure he has that time.
Vote's going to show up and impale PandaCat against the wall. Slowed against with the pillar. The ultimate won't confirm it, but he goes aggressive, jumps on in, looking for the basic, but PolarBearMike, playing the great support, blocks him out.
iceicebaby's gonna get it for him though. Nice kill by Rival, and Wlfy's here with a Tycho drones, but Ben's gonna claim Ice.
The bite back from eUnited, very, very important. Rival get themselves on the board thanks to a hot play by iceicebaby, finishing what Vote started, but eUnited absolutely respond, and PandaCat, doesn't even matter that he falls down. I think it's more important that Ice died.
I agree, and it's almost more important that Venenu is able to grab a kill as well. And this idea of eUnited to leave Venenu alone actually pays off beautifully there. I was already talking about how he's getting more solo farm than we're used to seeing for NA mid laners, and it's allowed him to pick up Doomorb and his boots already. Yep. He started with those cooldown boots and bought this Doomorb pretty early on. Without buying that big power spike item this early, I don't know if Ven's able to secure that kill, so already eUnited's strategy impacting their team fights.
And really, that's the word strategy is what you mentioned, and I think that's the key here for eUnited. I mentioned it in sort of the pregame hype moment, but these two teams are basically here. I always talk about, if you follow the meta, you're following the leader, hence you are not the leader. eUnited and Team Rival have created their... Scream's playing Bastet.
Oh, these are the two meta creators, without a doubt. Ice gets caught this time by Venenu, but it's already too late. With that extra movement speed from the Swift Wing, from those Talaria boots, iceicebaby's not looking to do anything but move fast so far with this build. And that's all Odin really needs to do, because if you could just get in position to find the right cages to consistently bully out the enemies, you don't need a whole lot of excess power going for you.
Right, and Odin gets his early game monstrosity presence from the fact that his base stats are just nasty. So when he hits you with the bird bomb or the back camps with the bird bomb, it just disappears. Does Ice do this with every character? Probably not, but it definitely excels with the Odin selection. That's why we see him going for the back camp farm time and time again, and this build, both of which hyper-specific on the Odin. That's the type of stuff that matters.
Without a doubt, and Odin is one of those sneaky characters. It's really hard to lock down. I mean, everyone always thinks about Susanoo and Zerket as these slippery junglers. Odin kind of fits that bill. Raven Shield on such a low cooldown. You could drop the ring to give yourself an extra buffer and try and get away that way. It can be difficult to catch an Odin, and that's before my man goes for Swiftwing and Talaria boots for extra movement speed.
Swiftwing also just going to make him that much tankier, and as the game gets later and later, that's what we'll see this Odin sort of transition into. At the end of the day, he's going to be the ring bot, but for right now, he's looking just to cause trouble. Scream looking to start some trouble of his own, but walks away, doesn't want to go too deep.
No invades on either side quite yet, besides the back camps, of course. Buff invades have not really happened too much. A little bit of pressure on this left-hand side to Vote, but he's done a great job of keeping up with PandaCat. But PandaCat has gone for a little bit of a greedier build just now, finishing his boots. And this is where starting for Devourer's Gauntlets really pays off. PandaCat wasn't as strong as Vote. That's why Vote was able to play so aggressive on the top side of that Gold Fury. But now that PandaCat has finished the builds, you just compare where Vote and PandaCat are. They both have boots. Check. Vote hasn't even finished his Devourer's Gauntlets, and PandaCat's already sitting at 50 stacks.
The vision around this Gold Fury because of those stacks, very important. Rival makes sure to prioritize that. Collis is low. Wlfy's gonna help out with the ult. Collis busts his ult just for safety. Really didn't have to, but Scream was safe.
Deathwalker has to use his ult as well.
Nice.
Look at all the ults on Rival. 5 diamonds, all empty. That's 5 ults used by Rival as a pure disengaged tool. eUnited, instead of going for the objective, I'm surprised to see them chase out Rival. I really feel like that was a Gold Fury pull opportunity.
It might have been. It might have been, as the speed buff is successfully taken, and it looks like Ice might lose his life as well. Scream being careful here. Why is he so careful?
Just had no cooldowns. Saw the bar there as Vote's on trouble on the left-hand side. eUnited, instead of going for the Gold Fury, choose to pressure out both side lanes. Scream's able to seal away speed. Now he's looking at blue. Looks like with Benji's help, they might have secured that one, and Benji's taking the 1v3.
And Ice is relatively low, but Benji's gonna give the chase. Past the tier 1 tower. Doesn't seem to mind. Collis shows up, but again, no ultimate, so eUnited don't get punished.
eUnited could try and pull this Portal Demon. With PandaCat making this rotation, he's nearly full on those Devourer's Gauntlet stacks. Not going to be too hard to tank this up. Scream low on mana is going to have to back, but Rival's going to have to respond quickly. I don't think they have enough to contest this.
And I don't think that's the biggest deal just yet. I would love to see this pull here. Vote sees the people on the right side of the map and will begin to pull the Gold Fury, but again, lack of Devo glove stacks prevent him from doing it. Everything we just saw going all the way back to the Oracle fight has to do with the Hunter builds.
It's really paid off so far for eUnited. They're up about 1,500 gold. That 3K experience lead, very critical. In the early game, experience just outright worth more to you than gold because items end up stacking with each other better, and the outright levels just give you more each time you grab one. I mean, taking a look at the items though, the Do More now fully stacked for Venenu. Scream's got his Jotun's Wrath. Those are big power spikes. iceicebaby looking for more movement speed. That's probably going to be a winged blade to try and deal with the slows from that Ganesh ultimate from Scream on the Bastet as well. So those are that's gonna help him try and be even more survivable.
Yeah, exactly. When you see that Bastet, you generally always want to go into that winged blade. So it's a classic counter item, really. Bastet just wants to slow you down. And you know, bringing up that Bastet again, this is a very powerful character that we just don't see a lot of.
It's just a flavor pick for Scream, and a lot of players feel like she doesn't bring enough pressure in the early game, and then her mid game is very strong. That's where Bastet really does the majority of her work, and we're basically entering that point right now. As soon as you finish off that first pen item, it becomes very difficult to deal with how much burst and poke Bastet can put out. That's the problem, is that Bastet, all she has is damage. It's damage, the slow on the 3, the declaw, you got a slow from the cats, but you're really just there as a damage output machine. You need CC elsewhere, and eUnited have drafted around that beautifully.
That's exactly how you let a player on your team play what he wants. Vision around the Gold Fury goes to eUnited as they successfully take the bananas. And that Bastet, like you said, building into the second mace right here, as soon as that second mace, whatever it is, it will be problems. Benji again, dancing with everybody, double knockup. He was there for what seemed like forever, but eUnited did not respond.
Good idea there from Rival to tread cautiously as Vote's gonna get stunned out by PandaCat. Big damage coming out of eUnited's Hunter, but not enough to bring down Vote, though the Ganesh ult will force the Aegis.
Nice stuff right there, and that right there is why players have been talking in whispers about Ullr. If you do get stuck, you might just get beat up.
They've been whispering? I've been hearing yells the whole time.
Yeah, everybody's yelling about Ullr. Right now, Benji getting yelled at here. iceicebaby, nice grab! Collis with the hot play, and it's all about Deathwalker finishing it off around the corner.
But Benji's just zoning so that eUnited can grab the first big objective of the game. They already got the Portal Demon, now they add a Gold Fury to it. Losing your solo laner for a Gold Fury, absolutely a worthwhile trade for the NA finalists. Benji also, with that little burst of gold, finishes off that Stone of Gaia. So now he's got so much HP that Rival has to try and chew through.
All comes down to the solo lane pressure.
Yeah.
The solo lane pressure for eUnited allowed them to get about 1,000 gold lead, including the first blood, on the run, just in general. Team Rival actually stopped the bleeding by picking up those back camps repeatedly that we pointed out. Most teams, before the Gold Fury, would have been down 2,000. Team Rival played it smart. eUnited now, because of the pressure they had earlier, transitioned that into making use of Benji's thick character.
But even though iceicebaby is doing a good job of staying even, stealing those back camps doesn't really help Deathwalker. And Deathwalker's done a very good job of staying close to where Benji is. I mean, he's only down about a level right now, but just not nearly as effective. Part of that is the farm that Benji's been able to grab. Part of that is just the character selection. Cullen's a nightmare at this stage of the game, especially when he's able to go for a greedier start like that mystical mail. Now Benji's just doing guaranteed damage wherever he is. Doesn't matter if he's hitting anything or not. But Deathwalker is trying to make the bigger impact in the late stages of the game.
Oh, the tank brought down from 100 to 25% just off of one stun. PandaCat absolutely showing why people are a little afraid.
I love how aggressive PandaCat is playing because that's how PandaCat always plays. This is his first time in a World Final, and he's chasing a support down underneath their Tier 2 tower.
No fear.
And hitting everything along the way, I might add. Also serves as a really good damage check. Sometimes you don't get the ability to poke out your opposition and feel how much your full combo is going to do to them. Now that is in the back of PandaCat's mind. That damage check usually is good for about 5 to 10 minutes. A full item or more, you can kind of calculate still how much damage you're gonna do in response. That's always helpful to have as a player.
You usually see that out of the mid lane mages. Ra will just ult you for seemingly no reason. That's him seeing, can I one-shot you? All right, I can't, but I know how much damage I need to be doing to you to make sure that I can handle that. Right now, PandaCat goes, well, you know, off of one stun, I can bring the support down to 25%. Imagine what I'm gonna do to Venenu.
Especially whenever Kalas isn't going for any more physical protection with his abilities, working towards that Kusari tree, probably gonna be a Genji's guard or an Oni Hunter guard to try and get some extra magical protection to deal with what Venenu is gonna be putting out on this Discordia, who already has his Obsidian Shard done. That damage is starting to really escalate, and this late game composition from eUnited is really, really potent. They're fine with taking this into the later stages because they just do more as the game goes on than Rival does. Now, keep in mind that Rival loves to play these early game compositions and then just kind of sit on their hands and out team fight you when the time comes. So even though eUnited should be favored on paper, that doesn't mean that Rival's going to be helpless come 35 minutes.
We saw that yesterday. They won a game against the late game composition energy. We're talking Chronos and gods like that versus Isis and Anher, and Team Rival still wound up winning in the 45-minute matches. So really it just comes down to, you know, how well they're going to be battling it out. But Vote by himself here, stunned, jumped away. The ultimate's not going to help him here.
That Aegis will, though, still alive. Desert Fury, not quite enough. Vote,
the
still
shell!
alive! The peel is done, and Vote is out!
The shell, absolutely incredible timing on the relic. eUnited had him dead right, but now it's PolarBearMike getting pulled right on into the clutches of Team Rival's team fight.
PBM's gonna fall to Wlfy, but Benji is here, and level 16 Cullen is doing plenty of damage. Wlfy uses both relics just to try and stay alive, but Benji still gonna find him underneath the tower.
Benji versus the world. That's an incredible sense of understanding just how tanky you are beneath a tier 2 tower. Vote's trying to punish, but no chance to survive. And what a play by eUnited.
But keep in mind, all of that starts because Vote's way out of position. The response from Rival is beautiful to get their Hunter out of danger. Big plays out of Venenu in the mid lane!
And two kills for eUnited. And that is how you play Bastet. You go for the kills that nobody expects you to, you're in and out, and you make the pounce.
Venenu still trying to secure this. iceicebaby goes for it, but doesn't quite get the Portal Demon. No jump, and again, that movement speed, he's basically uncatchable right now. eUnited grabbed 2 kills underneath that mid tower, and even though it's Scream who gets the kill credit, all credit really goes to Venenu, that Discordia, and that's where the threat of playing against a new god can really come up. If this is 6 months from now, everyone knows, oh, can't stand too close to one another. Discordia is going to bring us together and provide that burst. Still just some unfamiliarity with the character on the range of the damage, of the burst that she can provide. Really ends up biting Rival.
And I just like the selection of Bastet for Scream because it fits the playstyle. He wants to jump in and jump out, make those plays, and be the guy that can successfully capitalize off of the nonsense coming from the mid lane. Just shy of 20 minutes here, folks, in our first game of the Grand Finals. 5-3. eUnited also leading in gold by 6,000.
Rival, again, just playing this one very patiently. I don't think we've seen a team have as much comeback potential as Rival has during the Season 4, probably ever during the Pro League. I mean, you think about their game up against Dignitas where they're down 3 Phoenixes and just sit there and wait and wait and wait. They're able to get it as PandaCat trying to get on the run. Collins with that blink ultimate. iceicebaby's right there. Plenty of damage into PandaCat, and Wlfy's gonna find him.
PolarBearMike a little bit too slow, not able to get there to help out his teammate, like the last time around we saw with eUnited. So Team Rival gonna watch him fall down, and fantastic stuff. They're looking for more here, but it might be all Scream. It's Venenu taking down Wlfy.
Venenu's playing out of his mind. PolarBearMike with a horrific emerald gonna knock up Kalas. Set up for Scream. The cat's on the chase, but iceicebaby should be able to get Kalas out of danger.
Who cares? Tier 1 tower goes down. All about the objectives.
Exactly. eUnited's played that so well around objectives throughout this HRX. Wlfy falls there. Venenu starts charging the golden apple and is just staring at where Wlfy's going to jump. Way before he ever ends up getting there. This mid laner for eUnited is in the zone right now.
And I just can't I can't understand it. I can't believe the transformation this guy had. Venenu came on the scene as, you know, sort of Weekend's buddy on ALG, had wonky hunter builds. Nobody knew what he was doing. Nice try, Benji. And Venenu quickly, I think it's his attitude. Venenu very quickly just acclimated to the pro scene, still does kind of whatever the hell he wants to do, but it all winds up working out.
It really does. I mean, remember, when we first saw him in the mid lane, it was on that Oxygen Supremacy team on their incredible run through the gauntlet, out of the Challenger Cup, and Venenu's playing like Chiron mid when no one on Earth is playing Chiron.
Yaman played Chiron.
Well, that was quite some time ago. That's not whenever Venenu was playing Chiron. Everyone had kind of dropped that character by then. Just that creativity and willingness to adjust to what the team needs to do. That's what really impresses me most about his game, is that he can play this hard carry, and he can do it very well. He can also play the support mid, you know, just try and set up for Scream, set up for Benji, set up for PandaCat. Everyone on eUnited can try and carry a game.
He's doing both here. I mean, we saw him set up for Scream 1 kill ago, and then, you know, like you said, just charged up the ultimate and smacked him down. That's the ability. Both of these teams have so much adaptability on their squads, and I think that's why they find themselves on top of their regions and on top of their game.
iceicebaby here with Deathwalker trying to defend their tier 1 tower in the solo lane. Have done so successfully thus far, but Scream just kind of lurking, willing to push down this tower in the mid lane.
Yeah, again, Bastet, not quite the same split push character that she has been in yesteryear, but still has the ability to bring out some of that nonsense. Right side, 5-man grouping, Collins flings forward, but it's all about Benji on the back line. The rest of the team paying attention. Benji, 25% HP. Iceice trying to cut that down. Stuck in the ring. Will he die? Yes, he will. Vote puts him in the ground.
But look at Scream coming around the corner, still trying to impact this fight, but Rival still healthy enough and using those Sylvanas heals. iceicebaby able to jump away. Scream used that ult to get the tier 2 in the mid lane. That did fall for eUnited. But it cost them their solo laner. Now it might cost them their tier 1 at the very least. Rival using this sustain, these Sylvanas heals so effectively. And when EU teams have been playing against Sylvanas, we've seen a ton of anti-heal dedicated to it. Venenu going for Rod of Tahuti instead of a Divine Ruin in that slot could end up really hurting eUnited here.
We'll see. We'll see. I actually think the more power will be effective. One of the scary things here for Team Rival, though, that looked positive. But take a second look. 5 ults, 5 players for 1 kill. That almost didn't happen. It took 5 players with 5 ults to kill, Benji. Kalas was the only one whose ult was under the tower.
But keep in mind, Benji's level 20, and he's nearing full build. He's not getting a lot tankier than he is right now. Wlfy and Vote are gonna get a lot more damage to deal with Benji. That time to kill is gonna drop significantly once Wlfy even finishes off an Obsidian Shard.
Sure. I mean, Vote's level 18. He doesn't have that much far to go. But yeah, I get your point. It just scared the hell out of me. 5 players, they're all killing him. He's still not dead. Like, that's gotta be, Team Rival get out of that one and take the tower and go, all right guys, nice, but think.
See, I think eUnited comes out of that fight saying, okay, we understand that we're starting to lose the ability to do whatever the hell we want in these team fights. We have to be respectful of the damage that Rival's gonna put out now, as PandaCat needs to be respectful of the damage Wlfy could do to him. Scream doing good poke onto Vote. And really, eUnited probably saying to themselves, we need to respect the healing coming out of Rival. We need to get some more dedicated anti-heal. We need to play around that sustain a little bit better. But Rival might get caught sleeping here. This Gold Fury is going to get bursted before anyone can even get close.
No vision at all. eUnited again find themselves just pushing their lead forward. 9K right now.
13 wards placed by Venenu. That's part of the reason why he doesn't have a little bit more in that item build. I was wondering about why he was building, just not quite done with that 5th item yet. He's gotten so much solo farm and being 2-0-2, the multiple Gold Furies, 3 now in total for eUnited. It's because of those wards placed that it helps out the rest of the team. It does slow down Venenu's build a little bit, but he's 1 item away from being just about good on damage so far.
Yeah, I mean, most of these items are between 2,000 and 2,500. He's blown 600-700-ish on vision, right? So when you break down that math, you go, wow, that's like half an item. But at the same time, eUnited as a team are up so far. You could argue because of the vision. They were able to chase down the invades. They were able to deny the buff invades, right? That vision has really kept eUnited on their toes.
And Venenu, even despite spending all that on wards, is going to be ahead of Wlfy in damage. I mean, over doubling what he's put out so far, even with the later game mage. And a lot of that is just because you can afford to spend a lot of gold on wards whenever you're this far ahead. You're not losing a lot in response because you're just going to be ahead regardless.
Wlfy here on that Raijin, however, will become more and more of a threat as time goes on. Raijin, one of the scarier gods in the game right now, in my opinion, Ryan. I think that his ability not just to do burst damage, but also control with a taunt, spread with Raiju, a lot is very scary. P.S. he can also jump away and be safe.
He can also jump in and mez you and try and lock you down a little bit longer. Raijin does it all in the mid lane. There's a reason that he's been top pick, top ban, basically the entire tournament. But the problem is if you don't get ahead early, the mid game doesn't feel super impactful. It's still good, don't get me wrong. But already Venenu starting to feel a little bit more impactful with this Discordia. But in the later stages, once Raijin hits full build, hits that 6 item slot, level 20, we've seen how many players underestimate the amount of burst that Raijin can provide. You throw the 2 onto someone and then Taiko drum them down. PandaCat, Venenu, Scream,
40%.
They're all in danger of getting insta-killed by just 2 shots out of that Taiko drum.
And don't forget, I mean, Wlfy, you know, if he starts to party, iceicebaby locks down a ring, and where are you going, right? You can get so screwed up by what Team Rival has really crafted here in their picks and bans phase of game number 1.
Rival playing the mid-game slow, and that's kind of the idea right now with how far behind they are. They need to try and re-engage off of an extended fight and really utilize those Sylvanas hills. Problem with that is that Venenu is done now with that Divine Ruin. That's that extra bit of anti-heal that I think eUnited really needed. And now that that key item is done, what does eUnited do? Immediately force a fight around FG.
Understanding that this time around the healing will be less. 7,000 healing up until this point coming out from the Sylvanas, but now it's about the Fire Giant, and eUnited take it down. Wlfy looking to take down the wrong guy. PBM a little too tanky, but here comes Benji.
The jump-ins after him. Venenu's gonna get the first kill for eUnited, and Rival is on the run. eUnited secure the gold, the Fire Giant, and man, was that close. That is a toss-up on who's gonna get that, but again, that's trust in your squad. A lot of teams probably drop that FG, and the correct play, putting in air quotes, is probably to drop that FG. But eUnited ends up making the play anyways. Sometimes you gotta take those calculated risks, and that's exactly what that was for eUnited, and it pays off big time.
And again, you know, that's the play. I scream for it every time. Always go for the steal. Ice will sit down, but he absolutely did the right thing. I want to see Rival go for that.
Oh my God, Vote just gone from the map. Scream and PandaCat combine to bring down another one as well. Kalas falls, as does the right side Phoenix.
Really out of nowhere.
Hail of arrows into pounce, 65% of Vote's health.
Just see you later, man. And I think that's why I like the Bastet selection, is that her damage comes so surprised, right? Out of nowhere, and that along with PandaCat can really help things out. Mid lane Phoenix is the fight, Ice drops the ring, Deathwalker goes down, Scream chases, gets the double digits for eUnited.
Mid Phoenix gone as well. eUnited dominant so far in this game. I mean, Rival just hasn't seemed to have an answer for PandaCat on that left side of the map. Benji's been a monster as well. Deathwalker just has not been present so far for Rival, and a lot of that, even for me, goes back into their semifinal match. I really didn't feel like Deathwalker was making as much of an impact as he was at Super Regionals for this team, throughout the season for this team. And for me, I really think that's what Rival's lacking. They need that big frontline, beefy, gonna kill you and take out someone else at the same time sort of presence that, frankly, eUnited has right now with Benji.
And I'm sure this worked in scrims. I'm sure it's fine. Amaterasu is a great god. I'm done with it. Give the tools to the guy that needs them. I say it all the time, and here we get a little riled up here, right? Like, when you are good at something, feed the hot hand. Give the violinist the violin bow, not a trumpet, right? Deathwalker is a dude that wants to be up close and personal. Give him the Osiris. I know it was banned, but give him the characters that allow him to do that. I feel like Amaterasu doesn't give him the same presence.
I don't know if it's the pick necessarily, because Deathwalker is such a good late-game team fighting god that I don't need him to get massive early, but I just want to see Rival keep iceicebaby on that right side of the map and give some love to Deathwalker. Sure. Secure him some buffs. Get an invade for once. You know, try and get your star player ahead. Deathwalker's been trying to play from even at best for most of this tournament.
But he's even now and he still doesn't have the impact. I think it is the pick, right, guy? I think if we see him show up with another character, you pick the character. Amaterasu just isn't doing it for me.
Regardless if it's the pick or the strategy around it, Rival just need their best player to step up.
We can absolutely agree on that, because right now, we are 31 minutes in. eUnited are doubling the kill count. They're up almost 20,000 gold. This game is basically over, and North America are taking #1.
Left side, Phoenix the Siege. Rival kind of got here by playing around the mistakes of other teams. At this stage, eUnited is playing like they aren't going to make a mistake all day long. I just want to see Rival be aggressive just like this.
Chalice goes in, and he does exactly what you asked for, looking for the initiation. However, eUnited playing it safe, back it up. Wlfy doesn't want to let them. Venenu says, I don't care anyway. Gets the kill on VW. Vote jumps on the back end. Here's a little bit of help from the shell, but Benji doesn't care. Takes them all the way to the Fountain Boy. Get another kill. That will be the game.
eUnited looking like they're about to take game 1 up against a Rival. eUnited has yet to drop a game so far. That's what 4 in a row? 5 in a row for this squad?
Yeah. Incredible stuff. Order Titan falls down. PolarBearMike, everybody's been really, really amped about how excited this guy gets after a game. I want everybody to realize how business as usual he was right there. He understands this is a long series. This is a great game. He's got to go the distance.
Has to. You got to stay focused. eUnited dominant there. That's a great start for NA, but they need to be ready for what Rival's going to adjust with, because Rival will adjust.
I loved it. The crowd loved it. Kelly, how about you?
We loved it as well, and Benji obviously feeling himself a little bit with that taunt at the fountain at the end right there. I mean, they just seemed so strong over Rival. What was eUnited doing right?
It just gotta get things started off right sometimes. And for Benji, it's just the call-in. All the pressure that Scream was applying as well with the Bastet, legit rotating all over the map, completely prevented Rival from having the proper responses.
Somebody just needs to slap Rival on the wrist and be like, stop it. Ban Kakolin, it's Benji. You're giving him a god that he loves so much. He had top player damage at the most of the game, and I think like the pressure that he's brought, he didn't have the best score line necessarily on the board, but the presence that he brings to the table for his team is just too much to handle. It took 5 people to kill him at the 22.5-minute mark, and if Scream was there for eUnited, that would have went heavily in their favor.
Yeah, Rival was making good plays there, but like you just said, 5 men were going on 1 player, and then they were turning it around on them. eUnited was punishing them for each one of those plays there.
And that was just the problem with eUnited's composition. They had enough mobility and escape on the gods that matter, the gods that Rival would normally look to punish in regular compositions. They just couldn't afford to.
So this teamfight specifically was the result of too many cooldowns being used on PolarBearMike. Vote was called out earlier on in this engagement. And look at Benji, he's just diving the tier 2 tower. He finds the kill onto Wlfy, and then the rest is just history.
There's just no response in this kind of circumstance, because once a Cocolan gets that far ahead, and again, it's just going back to the solo lane matchup in general. Amaterasu, she has such great presence in team fights, especially with her movement speed aura for her teammates, but it just doesn't pan out very well, considering that Deathwalker is such an aggressive player. He could probably match Benji on a god like Osiris or Erlang.
Now, Rival was still in the game up until that 28-minute mark. Once eUnited got the Fire Giant, they were down about 10,000 gold or so, and they still could have made the plays happen. We saw them, pick off Benji, look for that tier 1 tower in the solo lane. But honestly, I don't think that Rival were expecting such a premature Fire Giant objective.
Man, the differences between the two teams were very contrasting. I mean, overall, Rival favors the late game, and eUnited definitely like that earlier aggression. How do you want to see Rival shift their composition in this game?
They cannot allow Deathwalker to play a no-presence god in the early game. It just took too much, honestly, out of them in the early game. They just gave up too many Gold Furies. 3 consecutive Gold Furies for a team here at HRX Finals. You cannot allow that to happen.
I mean, but they banned Raven, and then United picked Cocolan, and then they banned Osiris and Erlang. Who do you pick then?
It's because there was just too many instances where Rival as well just weren't able to respond to eUnited being inside of the objective. I would prefer if the Erlang or the Osiris are banned, you still have a couple of other options. Maybe even give him the Odin.
The Rival could have picked Cocolan. Instead, they opted for the Rise Shin. Discordia for Venenu. He did not play it earlier on against Obey Alliance, but it did not matter. He was still high up there in the damage charts. I think, honestly, it's time to give Deathwalker a priority pick here in game number 2.
We're focusing on the solo laners a lot, but I do want to talk about the Hunters as well. PandaCat versus Vote's builds, their starting builds, was very interesting, Anatoly.
Absolutely. There was a rush of the Devil Gloves for PandaCat. He got it completed. And then once he had the Ninja Tabai, around that 10-minute mark, there was a very early team fight happened by eUnited. Shortly after winning that team fight, they managed to get that first Gold Fury, and that's where the slow and steady bleeding occurred.
It's the risk versus reward, and it's a classic dilemma for Hunter players, because you can opt to build your Devourer Gauntlet early on, but then you're always going to run the risk of just getting run down by your opponent if they opt for the boots. I believe that Vote went straight for the Warrior Taba because he wanted to try and just rush PandaCat as often as possible, maybe catch him off guard in the jungle like he did when PandaCat initially fell early on and burning his purification beads, but it just wasn't enough to compensate, because by the time he built his Devil Gloves, PandaCat already had his fully stacked, he had full boots online, making eUnited's early game fights even easier.
Guys, I mean, Rival versus eUnited, game number 2, going to be starting in just a few moments, everyone. We have the teams coming up here, and I know a lot of people are excited for this, and I know a lot of people are excited for season number 5 as well, and we're going to have a little segment coming up, everyone. But before we do that, we'll be right back after this quick break.
Hello and welcome back to the desk. And while these players are still getting themselves set up, we want to talk to you real quick, very quick about Season 5. And basically that's why I've got hi-rez Cooper here, who actually has a suit jacket on for the first time in his history of his life, just to talk to you quickly about Season 5 and tell you more information about what's going to be going on.
Yeah, so we've been talking about a lot of new changes to the season, new formats, new teams, and we actually want to reveal the new look for the league as well. So the 2018 Smite Pro League logo.
Well, let's have a look at that. There you go. Smite Pro League logo with Bologna, the center face for that. So that's going to be all the branding for the year as well.
That's right.
So we've already done some discussion about what's going to be going on in Season 5 esports centric, but let's talk about SPL next year, first of all?
Yeah, so we've announced a lot of these changes, but just to refresh everyone, we're going with no relegations. That's probably the biggest change that we're going to go with. So teams will have the security of all season long. They'll be able to play in the Smite Pro League without that fear of being relegated.
So guaranteed spots next year. We are going to be cutting the league to 12 teams, 6 per each region, North America and Europe.
Yeah, and that's to promote better competition. We noticed that the lower end teams, they tend to stay there most of the time. So in order to create better competition all season long, we've cut it to 6 per region.
But not only that, we are also going to make sure all these players in the Pro League will get a salary as well, correct?
That's right. It'll be a 30K minimum salary for every player in the Smite Pro League for the whole year. So that gives them the ability to have sustainable income as well as the time that they're putting in. It feels worth it.
So when does the SPL start next year? Season
Spring
5?
of 2018. That's the date that we're looking for, and it'll have a new format. Fans have requested for a long time. We'll be going with double round robin.
Double round robin, so every time we get to see all the players play against each other twice.
All season
each
long.
split.
Every split.
Awesome, that's great news. So quickly, Challenger Cup as well. We've been talking a lot about Challenger Cup. What are we going to be doing with Challenger Cup this year? Because a lot of people ask for some more input.
Yeah, fans have been giving a lot of feedback on the Challenger circuit. So first and foremost, we're going to take the broadcast in-house, all of hi-rez talent, and we'll be broadcasting all those games on the weekends. On top of that, we're also doing increased prizing as compared to Season 4, so they also have an incentive to play for, and there'll also still be a path to the Smite World Championship.
So we could see a Challenger team make it here next year for hi-rez Expo.
If they're good enough.
Okay. Last but not least, I guess I should mention international. What's going on with the international scene?
Yeah,
Everyone wants more.
As we've seen at the Smite World Championship, the international teams are getting better and better every single year, and we wanted to make that a focal point for next season. So we're having an umbrella of all the international regions called the Smite Global Series, and this will be a way for the amateur teams as well as the pro players to compete all season long. We'll have more details on the exact format after HRX, but a few key points for that is they will also get increased prizing as compared to Season 4, and we'll also be doing all international broadcasting in-house.
That's awesome. What else have we got left to really look at here? I guess it's just down to unveil one of the orgs joining the Pro League next year.
Yeah, we've done a selection process for for all 12 organizations heading into the Smite Pro League for next year. And since eUnited won that last game, I think it's fitting we reveal an NA org. Happy to say that Splice will be joining us in the Smite Pro League for 2018.
Splice will be joining us. That's correct. A North American team will be back. That's Splice for us. That's going to be exciting. So they get to hand-pick their roster for next year, technically.
That's right. There'll be a whole free agency period sometime in the off-season in the next couple weeks, and we'll have more details when that begins and how it works sometime after HRX.
Awesome. Now, I know a few people at home might be saying console real quick, so anything on console just yet?
Again, after HRX, we have some very exciting plans for console. I'm really looking forward to it, but just going to have to wait till after the event.
Well, I'm looking forward to Season 5 too, but for now, it's time to get back to Season 4 finals. eUnited are up 1-0 against Rival. What's going to happen?